Marty, there is sometimes good news here in Canada amongst all of the other bad news that we have to keep reporting on. I hate to give everyone bad news, but why not this week? We started off with something good. Well, a company that we both really enjoy
Oh,
is
yeah, yeah.
doing better. They're
Yeah.
doing awesome. Approved to sell. A victory after red tape. Edison Motors has government approval. Finally, a government sat down and said, hey, you can sell your product that's actually superior to so many other products actually onto our market. What do you know about this, Marty?
That's a good video. So they just put out this video, I think yesterday. I watched it. Yeah, they got approved. They got the approval to put like an efficiency or an emissions seal on their vehicles. So that's great. They showed their shop that they're building. You know, all the. I mean, they're resilient, right? They tried to go to tariffs, and tariffs wouldn't have anything to do with them, and all the hoops and everything. So finally, they're like, screw it, we'll build our own shop. So they're building a shop from scratch. They got orders, and at the end of the video, they talk a little bit about how they're gonna start trying to raise money. Like right now, they've done
Great.
it all on their own private money, and I guess they're gonna do some sort of public offering. They're not gonna go public on the markets, kind of thing. It'll be a private equity raise, but if according to the video, they got like 30 or 40 orders for big trucks. So things are looking good for those guys. I mean, I'm just happy. I
That's
mean,
not shabby. 40 orders for big trucks. I mean,
oh
those
yeah,
are big
yeah.
money tickets, right?
And I might I'll dig in. I'll probably buy a few shares just to say, I was an early investor in Edison Motors, and I'm gonna be honest. I don't think it's the next Tesla, but yeah, you never know. You never know.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
Honestly, they have a good product, and we'll see how it develops moving forward. I like the fact, and I was talking with Chase when I was at the Conservative AGM in British Columbia because he was there as well. I was talking to him about they're doing like passenger size pickups. And when I say passenger pickups, I'm talking like 3500s and 2500s with a diesel engine. They're working on a rolling chassis kit
Yep.
thing. They're working with D-Boss Garage, another YouTuber, and they're going to put together this kit where you could purchase it and make your old truck a hybrid. And I think it's an amazing idea if it's available at some point. I even have the okay from the wife to go ahead and have a project truck.
Cool.
That's cool. So
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
I'm
that's
into
cool.
it. I'm into it. It'll be a project I'm happy to get into.
Well, and
So
and
yeah.
and and I mean, maybe they will be a successful publicly traded company. I was talking about on this topic this week. There are no publicly traded companies in Canada worth investing in these days. You know what I mean? Like,
No.
statistically, a lot of actually, I tweeted about this last week. A lot of how a lot of people say buy Canadian, and I would say like, okay, let's go look at the real data. Like there's been something like $90 billion. Canadians have shifted $90 billion of their RRSP money and whatever into U.S. equities. So you got a lot of Canadians that say buy Canadian, but behind the scene they ain't buying Canadian. They're not hiring Canadian. They're not buying Canadian. They're not building Canadian. Like that's yeah. That might.
You know where I'm going with this, right, Marty?
I could think of two, three places. Are you going with Vance, or are you going with Carney, or are you going with?
I'm going with X's new rollout of where have you been tweeting from?
Okay, okay.
This is perfect. It lines right up. So this is a thing. Like people started getting outed for you're not from here. There was like some indigenous natives group that I saw on Twitter
Well,
from
explain it to
like
the folks first. Have you explained it to everyone?
okay,
Explain what X rolled out.
so what X rolled out was this idea that they were tired of bots, and bots were coming from all kinds of countries all over the place, Bangladesh, China, wherever, and they were involving themselves in the political apparatus in other countries, right? Whether it's Canada, United States, UK, whatever, they're involving themselves in this. So Twitter rolled out a thing that they're going to make it public what country you're tweeting from. So anyone could go and check on your profile and see what country that you're tweeting from. Now, it does have a caveat, like if they're using a VPN, it'll push it out into another country, that kind of thing. So a lot of these accounts were getting nabbed for like, well, you're an indigenous group from North America, but it's out of Bangladesh, and it was actually downloaded from a Bangladesh site, and it's
Yeah.
like that's unbelievable. But it's funny because in Canada, there was a number of political and news sites that were caught using VPNs so that they looked like they were coming from the United States. At least that's how it looks anyway. Not that it was actually tweeting from the United States.
Well, no, I think in some instances it's fairly legit. So a perfect example, people immediately compare the conservative X platform versus the liberals. The conservatives showed up as Canadian. The liberals showed up as American. I wouldn't be surprised if the Americans haven't hired a PR firm out of the U.S. to manage their accounts, and so therefore the account is the American the Liberal Party of Canada's account is legitimately in the U.S. I wouldn't be surprised.
I thought it was hilarious. So I got a couple
Yeah.
of snaps here. We've got the NDP account based in the United States. We have the Liberal Party account based in the United States, the CBC, Canadian Broadcast Corporation, and CBC News, all accounts based in the US. But if you see the shield on the side, it is an indication that it's probably a VPN. Now, if it's a circle with a thing, it'll say like, just be aware that some people might be traveling. So if their recent tweets are from an area, they're probably just having a vacation there, which actually drove like a Twitter spat between a couple of channels that we follow that were spatting with each other.
Table
So
Salt
you're not
and the Contrarian or whatever Contrarian's called had a pretty neat spat. Yeah. Mine showed up as North American. And I was like, what? Mine didn't show up as, like, I just put it up. I was curious in all this. I went and looked at mine. So mine's not Canada or the U.S.
They're not sure what country Alberta's in at this point.
Mine showed up as North America. I'm not bullshitting, folks. Mine showed up as North America. So
oh, that's way too funny.
Yeah, I think Contrarian, or what's his new name? I think he was in Colombia, right? He's on vacation in Colombia.
That's right.
If you're legitimately on vacation, it'll pick up where you're. Marty on a VPN? No, I'm not.
I think it's satire headquarters.
Satire headquarters. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm not on a VPN. It just showed up as North America. I don't know why, but I mean, they got glitches in there. But it is actually the funnier one were the ones who made fake ones, showing where people were from, like whatever. Some of the politicians people put up theirs, and like Mark Garrettson was from freaking Looneyville and whatever. Like
Too good. So apparently Twitter's going to have a second rollout of this, and it's going to be much more accurate, and they're going to be able to tell if people have VPNs, because that's going to be one of the parts of the rollout. So yeah, if you're using a VPN, people will find out. People will find out, and it'll be known. The whole idea behind this, though, is to catch people who are not real, genuine people from those places that they say that they're from. A lot of Canadians were caught in this whole thing as big political commentary channels in the United States.
Yep.
Posing as Americans and actually getting people to believe that that's a thing. So we'll see how this all rolls out. But yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just reading some of the comments. Somebody was asking, where do you find out that information? Like on your profile, there's like a date somewhere. Wherever your date is or your country, if you click on it, it's kind of gray, and then it brings up another screen. So that's how you.
Yeah, I can show everyone right here. It's very simple. So you just go to somebody's profile, and then where it says joined, when the time that they joined, you click on that, and it'll say, see, mine says account based in the USA.
See, yours is in the US. Because you were there recently, and it's not.
No, I wasn't, and I'm going next week. Which, like, how would it know that, right? So yeah, the rollout hasn't been absolutely accurate. So
I also kind of think that you guys close to the border, maybe you're a little bit farther to the border, but like, let's say you're in I don't know, let's say you're in Detroit, or what's across the city from river from Detroit,
Windsor, Ontario.
Let's say you're in Windsor. It's picking up cell towers and things like that, and so it's getting a lot of interference, and it's having a tough time triangulating where you're tweeting from, and then I think it defaults to the U.S. in some instances. But
maybe they're reading this because I put it in as my location leaving Canada for Texas.
Oh yeah, well that'll do it. Yeah, that'll do it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, and Canada has been an issue in the news recently. In fact, JD Vance was talking about this on Friday. This was a big deal. And man, everybody was tweeting about it because, well, Canada's really, I've been calling it out. They've come under a real bad case of TDS. Trump derangement syndrome is a real thing in Canada. And so is, blaming all your problems on that. Now, JD Vance gets into that on the second portion of his tweet, but in the first portion, he lays it out for Canadians. Listen, you guys have screwed up your country. You've absolutely screwed up your country. He says, while I'm sure the causes are complicated, no nation has leaned more into the diversity is our strength. We don't need a melting pot, but we have a salad bowl. Immigration insanity other than Canada. It is the highest level of foreign-born of the share of the population and the entire G7, and its living standards have stagnated. Now, it's crazy because we've been sharing this graph for ages. Like, just look at it: GDP per capita versus Great Britain or the United States. Even Great Britain is not doing so hot, but the United States is bouncing back. Like we all see the COVID dip, but the US is jumping right back into it, and they're doing great. They have a great economy. Canada, right down on the bottom. We land dead last, actually.
Well, just go back to that, Clyde, real quick. So
yeah,
that is, when Poilievre was saying the lost decade, that's the lost decade right there, right? So it almost goes from 2025 to 2015 kind of thing. And that's an example. So on a per capita, our GDP is almost at the same level as it was in 2015. And GDP per capita, you and I have talked about this. Not a big fan of the GDP metric, but that's the one they're using, so I'll use it against them. GDP per capita is a good analog for standard of living. So Canadian standard of living in 2025 is the same as it was in 2015. So that's what the Conservatives, when they said a lost decade, we haven't moved forward in a decade.
Well, and I would argue that it's actually even worse if you factor in the fact that they put all government spending in the GDP, and in fact, they're now even including pension money as like collateral and stuff. It's really getting bad. It's really bad. Yeah. If you put those factors into this graph would look even worse. We're not in stagnation. We're in declining living standards. It really is something else. Now, JD Vance also adds to this. He says, and with all due respect to my Canadian friends whose politics focus obsessively on the United States, your stagnating living standards have nothing to do with Donald Trump whatsoever, or whatever boogeyman the CBC tells you to blame. The fault lies with your leadership elected by you. And he's not wrong.
Spot on.
He's not wrong at all.
I use the exact words. I mean, I use the exact word boogeyman, right? Like the liberals like to portray Trump as a boogeyman. No, spot on, Vance.
And what's crazy is
Vice President Vance by his name? No, maybe not. Mr. Vice President.
Mr. JD Vance, Vice President JD Vance. But this has been going around the block, and a lot of people are pointing this out. And this has become a real problem for the left. The fact that people, not even on the right, just like people just in general, centrists, everybody are starting to talk about this mass immigration problem. It is a big, 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 big issue. In fact, even so Elon Musk has been chiming in on this a ton, because like we can't be allowing foreigners to be voting in our elections, whether it's the United States or Canada. The United States has this huge problem with no voter ID, which is just absolutely absurd. Even in Canada, which they're trying to relax things on voter ID, which I don't think that they should be doing. Every reasonable country, you have to register as a citizen and then show ID when you get to the ballot box. But this has become a big problem, not just on that, but on cultural lines. And Elon Musk tweeted this one out. This was a tweet from Matt Walsh, the Matt Walsh Show, where he was talking about just this. When you import the third world, guess what? You get the third world.
This is why we say import the third world, become the third world. Because the thing that nobody wants to say is that the reason why third world countries are the way they are is because third world people are the way they are. Okay. At the end of the day, your country is a reflection of its people. Every country is, when it comes down to it. Somalia is totally dysfunctional and corrupt because scam and frauds, piracy, this is part of the lifestyle, part of the culture. Bring it over here, you get the same stuff. This is why we say import the third world, become the third world. Because the thing that nobody wants to see.
It's absolutely correct. He's spot on about that. Now, what is the response? Has the response been, you're a bunch of baddies, you're not allowed to say this stuff?
Yeah.
But then this is why stories like this blow up in the news. This is the thing that's hitting all the headlines right now on Twitter, and it's all over the place. A group of 30 people go out and they can change the course of who gets to talk about what forever. This is CTV News talking about, watch, alleged white nationalist group seen demonstrating in London, Ontario bridge. Here they go.
Doesn't want his last name used. Taken Sunday around noon. It appears to show a group of about 30 people dressed in dark uniforms and masks standing in formation on the Wortley Road overpass. The group is allegedly stormtroopers, named after the paramilitary wing of the historical Nazi Party in Germany. They're holding a banner up that reads, "Remigration Now." The term refers to a far-right concept of ethnic cleansing via the mass deportation of non-white immigrants and their descendants. Viewer Dave said,
Now, so this is it's really ridiculous, because this is the thing. There are actually a small group of people that believe that stuff.
Yeah.
There are a small group of people that believe that stuff. And this is why I think it's getting so much viewership. And this is why they want so many people to see stuff like this, because they want it to be taboo again.
But that's not a, yeah, but that, like, I don't think that's a real story. Like that's sorry, it is a real story, but I think that's a government operation, because if there was really private citizens, a group of us, 20 of us, that went on a bridge and hung up the flag there, the media would actually come. The media would come. There would have been media, right? It's media worthy. And so the fact that the only media that you get in this instance is sort of like this really remote media from a distance, no, that's a false flag. That's a bullshit exercise.
Well,
Like,
so it's funny because it's actually put together by a group. They call themselves the Second Sons. I actually had to do research. I've been attacked by these people because I'm a race mixer. Remember, Marty?
Yeah.
So yeah. I've had run-ins with these groups, and they're real winners, right? But you're right. I think that this is some sort of a group that's their purpose is to make these things taboo again. Because it's becoming too realistic, it's becoming too obvious, and a lot of people are very upset with the immigration as it is.
But you know what I mean?
Why not take it so far?
Yeah, but you know what I mean. There's no other stories, right? All the stories are from one group of. It's always the same picture. So whoever, like, only one person covered this story. Like, if it was a story, it would be covered from numerous angles. Especially a story like this, that's quote unquote could be spun as hate. Like, if the CBC is not on the bridge covering this, then I get suspicious. You know what I mean? Like, it's too, yeah. I mean, we had one in Alberta too. There was the one in Alberta looked more spontaneous. There was one in Alberta where somebody went and hung a bridge on the overpass on the Deerfoot there last week, and it just read remigration. And
right,
but again, no coverage. Nobody else went and talked to the guys. You know what I mean? Like, every protest, there's always somebody that goes and, yeah.
Well, you actually brought something up that made a lot of sense, because, like you said, the CBC. If they were doing this to the CBC, you think the CBC would be right outside to talk about it, right?
Yeah.
Well, they recently did go to the CBC. And these people were attacking me, but I made a comment, right? Because it looked funny, because it was the whole group of them. They went out to the CBC right in front of the CBC building, but it was like right at the crack of dawn when the streetlights are just coming on, and they go to the CBC building. Was there any CBC reporters that went out to check them out? Did anyone go and interview them? Did anyone go do any of this stuff? This would be all over the place if this was legitimate, if it was an organic thing. It seems completely inorganic. That's why I had the funny comment of spiffy new outfits. Federal funding seems to go a long way these days. But And I'm not the only one to notice this.
I mean,
kind
I'm
of
I'm
thing.
tempted to get a group of guys now and go get a banner that says "Immigration" and go hang out on a bridge and see how quickly somebody from the news comes and talks to us. Like if they don't come talk to us, then I'll be like, okay, then it's a taboo topic that even the news doesn't want to touch. But yeah, something's weird about this one.
Well, see, that's the thing. Like the whole remigration thing, I looked into it, and it really does. When you talk to the people who espouse this stuff, it really does mean they want people who are not whites to be taken away from Canada. So, like, even people who are citizens, people who are born here, maybe even generations that have gone by, and we've all heard of the founder of this group, Jeremy Mackenzie. There's also the Ferryman's Toll. These people, and I mean, I always have to bring up this clip of Jeremy. I just can't help but like.
Okay, now you're gonna get the swarm on us tomorrow morning. Go for it. Go for it. But you're gonna get the swarm on us. We're gonna.
The swarm is gonna hit us. The swarm's gonna hit us. You have to see this clip to understand where they actually come from.
Fuck the Jews. Fuck you. Fuck your Holocaust. Fuck your banks. Fuck your stupid fucking bullshit ethno-state shitbag magic book country. I wish the fucking Palestinians just overrun and wipe out your entire civilization. I wish Hezbollah would just rain down ungodly fucking hate on you until there's nothing left of you. I wish that would happen. I sincerely wish that. I am so fucking sick and tired of these people. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so I had to show that. This was after he was having a rant about how he can't use his financial institution because there's too many fraud investigations about him. There's a lot of allegations that go out there entirely, but the biggest one would be for a guy like this. If you know, we saw what happened to Tamara, we saw what happened to all these people. If he was really in opposition of the government, I can't see them dropping like multiple federal charges on guns and violence and all that kind of stuff. Is very suspicious that all of that was just kind of dropped, and now here he is just willy-nilly bringing up this stuff.
Actually, we didn't even have that on the list of things to talk about, but that's a great thing to talk about. I mean, actually, you're making me think of two things. First of all, let's talk about Tamara real quick, right?
Yeah.
She's in week 5 of her house arrest. And she had a police officer go knock on her door last week, like on Thursday night at 12:30 at night. And luckily she was home. She's supposed to be home, but they knocked on her door to make sure that she was complying with her curfew. And people online are like, we've never heard of that done to anybody. Anybody. Tamara Lich is like 5 foot what, Clyde? 2? A grandmother. Like
tiny little
and
cute lady,
and a singer and a beautiful soul, yes, and then you got guys like Jeremy Mackenzie literally like wishing death on a huge segment of the population, ranting, and nobody knocks down on his doors, or when they do, it's convenient, and then he reappears. And on that same topic, this week there was a bunch of guys in Brampton that had gun charges dropped against them, right? Like, come on.
Oh, really?
Oh.
So I just wanted to share this with you because there might be a bit of context that people are missing on this whole conversation. So I want people to realize that there is a history in Canada of this. Now, you could take what you want from this. Just bear in mind, this is actual historical stuff in Canada, and that would be this. Yes, Canada Security Intelligence Services, CSIS, a CSIS informant named Grant Bristow was the co-founder and leading figure within the white supremacist group, the Heritage Front, which turned out to be a terrorist organization. They tried to commit hits on, I think, political figures in Canada. It was something crazy. And these are the key details from the Heritage Front affair. Infiltration and formation. Grant Bristow was a paid undercover agent for CSIS, and he became instrumental in the 1989 creation and direction of the Heritage Front. So I want people to realize that this is not beyond the pale. And sometimes the people in charge of things, they run out of good ideas, so they just rehash old ones. You know what I mean? Just throwing that one out there so people understand what actually has happened in Canadian history and what we're seeing today might be one of those things. It was just released by the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms just a week ago. They uncovered that the Canadian government was using psychological warfare against Canadians. They've been using top level propaganda techniques, and that they've discovered there's a whole network in the government to figure out great propaganda and brainwashing ideas.
Yeah. What was the one they did in Nova Scotia, like in recent years, where they were trying to spread myths about wolves? Like there's some crazy ones. Like absolutely.
So that was a crazy story.
Man, Canadians are some of the most naive people in the world. Like, I think we are an experimental ground. They come here with their new, like the CIA, all sorts of groups come here and go, hey, let's try this new technique on Canadians and see how quickly it grabs onto. Like, man, yeah.
That story about the wolves, like they went so far as to convince people by handing out flyers and then saying, oh, the wolves are dangerous. And then they had troops, Canadian forces troops in the woods with speakers blaring wolf sounds at people's homes to scare them.
Yeah. Actually,
it's unreal.
Actually, this is a weird segue because we haven't even talked about Carney yet, because we want to talk about Carney. But one of the things that I've been pointing out about Carney in the last couple of months is Carney has issued no less than 11 statements at this point, press releases that start with the words "in an ever increasingly dangerous world" or "a world of uncertainty." Like, Carney starts, almost every press release from Carney starts with a variation on that. So that's an example, folks. You're being conditioned constantly. I mean, I mentioned today small modular reactors. SMRs. They don't even say nuclear reactor. They say small modular reactors. They're normalizing things. They do this to us all the time. Yep.
It's techniques.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what? Elizabeth May came out rejecting her support.
Yeah, let's go with some humor. Yeah, Elizabeth May.
Yeah, you turned me on to this one. This is too funny. So I have to share it. I guess
it'll be a good segue. Actually, it'll be a good segue with other stories. Let's show Elizabeth May. Yes.
So I don't have to give this any context. This is the crazy old wino from Parliament, Green Party. Only one.
Play it from start, though. Play it from. Yeah.
We do want to diversify trade, but we want to diversify trade with democracies that share our values, that respect human rights. Now we're cozying up to People's Republic of China. I haven't heard they're starting to treat the Uyghurs well. I don't understand how we can want to do deals with countries like Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates that right now has been caught with personnel carriers carrying out war crimes in Sudan. Do we trade away our values? Do we trade away our souls when we trade with those countries?
Okay.
The Honorable Minister of International.
What came over Elizabeth May?
Okay,
she's
so
like,
first of all,
did she take a truth serum?
I agree with her.
Mix
right?
that up with her bottle of brandy.
First of all, on the high level, I agree with Elizabeth May. Okay, I never thought this day would happen, so I agree with Elizabeth May, which is hilarious. On a weird level, on a more hypocritical level, like when she says, like, did we what was the last word she said? Did we sell out our values? Liz, you sold out your values last week. You stood up in the House of Commons, but before that you made a big pleading plea, but you agreed with the budget. You approved the budget because you suddenly had a change of heart and you believed in Carney. Well, now look at you a mere week later. Yes, welcome to the club, Liz. Like, and it's a great segue because she's criticizing Carney. Where did Carney go this week? We're in the middle of an existential war, apparently, with the U.S. trade war that we're losing. And where's Carney? He's in the Middle East, sucking up to rich oil oligarchs. Yes, this video, like, he's just gushing. Listen to him right here, actually.
Oh, you want me to play it?
Play that bit, yeah.
From the carpet from Iraq, from the calligraphy from Iraq, inspired from Iraq, from the tiles, the mosaics from Turkey, and of course from the materials from around the world, even an English designer of some of the architecture.
You know, if I was one of those guys, I'd be like, okay, you're taking inventory of our place. We know what we got, pal. What are you bringing to the table?
Just for
Why
context for folks, that is the second largest mosque in the world. The largest one's that's a mosque. The largest one is in Saudi Arabia, no doubt. And these guys, the royalties, they're very careful not to outdo each other. So he's touring this mosque. This mosque was finished in 2007 for half a freaking $1 billion. And the Sheikh's just happy he's touring him through there. And later on in the video, Carney goes, "This is a great testament to you, Sheikh, blah, blah, blah." It's like, no, Carney, you know what that's a testament to? That's a testament to oil money. Like that's what the Sheikh's doing right now. He doesn't give a shit what you're saying. He's just showing you what
look what we got.
Look at what we got, man. We produce our oil and our gas. Yeah. And
thanks for making sure that you guys don't use your own so we can supply all of Eastern Canada.
and what did we sign at? And we're buying oil from them. Quebec is, not Alberta. And they went over there and they sold them weapons. That's what we're doing. We sell them weapons. And it was that whole interchange. And yeah, so Liz May is right. I mean, look at everything that we have to unpack. May betrayed the country and voted for the budget because she believed Carney. Carney can't be believed. Carney takes off to Saudi Arabia and Qatar and Kuwait and places like that and does an oil for money or a weapons for money deal, gushing over their oil because they're using their oil money to buy from us. Why is he not gushing over our oil here in Alberta?
He ought to be, but he isn't, and he's doing everything to keep that stuff in the ground. Got to keep that in the ground, including making fake deals that would never pass because you know that at the end of the day you will never let it pass. Now this was a joke deal. This was a joke of a deal. In fact, it was such a joke that an Australian company or a bunch of Australian lefties had a conniption over it, and they had this video. We all saw this, but I'll play a clip of the beginning. I shared this on the channel. You had a good laugh at this. You asked me last week if I had this. Here's the beginning of it.
Hello, I'm from the Canadian government. You can put your elbows down now, silly. We already got your vote. Introducing the Xylism's LNG terminal, the project that sacrifices taxpayers, workers, First Nation, water, salmon, the climate, and Canadian sovereignty all in one. Xylisms. If built, Xylisms will export our fracked gas to Asia, causing more carbon emissions than coal, and Canada's energy bills to skyrocket. We saw that happen in Australia, and we can't wait to make the exact same mistake here. That's why we're blowing billions in taxpayer subsidies on it, because nothing says build Canada strong like a barge built in Korea with non-Canadian steel. Will it create long-term Canadian jobs? 1,000. Well, more like 200 if you read the fine print. Does it make any economic sense? Nope. The world is heading for an LNG glut and prices just went negative. So will taxpayers be left on the hook if this becomes a stranded asset? You bet. Okay, so it's a shit deal, but at least it's an indigenous-led project, except it's not. Xylisms is 100% American-owned by a tech.
Okay, so I'm gonna leave it there. So it's an American-owned company. It's gonna be put together by it's Korean-made steel. Like none of this stuff is Canadian. The elbows up crew is like full on everybody else except for us. And then they're bringing this forward as a plan to be the LNG project from Alberta out to the West Coast in British Columbia. But they hinted at this in that little video that the natives would probably not be completely okay with this. And we all see what's been happening in British Columbia with the natives. So this happened in Parliament today. This is the leader of the opposition, Pierre
hang on before you go to that one, right? So that project was a list of 6 announced last week, right? There was 5 like in September and 6 last week. These are supposedly the nation building projects. And now Alberta's looked at the map after the 11 have been announced so far and went, wait a minute, there isn't one from Alberta yet, right? And Smith had made issued an ultimatum to Ottawa. So that's the exchange now in the House of Commons, I think, because Carney, apparently there's a memorandum of understanding between Carney and Danielle Smith that we're going to see on Thursday. Is that tomorrow? No, in 2 days from now. and it's been leaked out, and they're already debating it. I guess we're getting screwed. Alberta's going to get screwed, and so's everybody. But yeah, play the clip. I mean,
Here we are.
Speaking of Canadian interest, this prime minister opposed the pipeline from Alberta to the Pacific, just like his Liberal predecessor blocked that same pipeline. On Thursday, he'll make one of his grand announcements, waving around a meaningless so-called memorandum of understanding. If it's anything other than a public relations ploy, why won't he say, on what date will construction begin on a pipeline from Alberta to the Pacific?
Here, here. The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, sometimes the question reveals everything. The memorandum of understanding that we're negotiating with Alberta creates necessary conditions, but not sufficient conditions, because we believe in cooperative federalism. We believe the government of British Columbia has to agree. We believe that First Nations right holders in this country have to agree and support. All stakeholders have to back. That's one thing.
So what does that tell you? What that tells me is basically the Liberals, because we just saw it. Like the Conservatives were on the side of the Liberals when it came to forget the provinces' sovereignty and their decision making. Let's sign a bill that gives federal power over everybody's decisions with
the
Bill
Canada
C5.
First Act. Yeah, C2,
that's right.
The Canada First Act, absolutely.
So they put that forward, and they're like, yeah, that's great. And then they bring this thing and they say, yeah, but we're going to make sure that the natives have their say in all of this. What does that tell me? It tells me that they had no intent on actually pushing that through. They had no intent of making that a thing, because they knew that the natives were going to just shut it down. British Columbia is the province of shut it down. It's the province of give me your land and shut it down.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like, what else can you call it? What else can you call it? And I don't understand what David Eby's doing. I guess it goes to his base, but I mean, that's the base. That's the Lower Mainland base. Want nothing to do with capitalism or markets or fossil fuels.
No, it's a great question. Like I was hoping you could answer it as a British Columbian. Like, is Eby, is he just trying to get reelected, and he thinks that being a dick to the rest, to Alberta in particular, gains him popularity points? Okay, that's one thing. Or is he hoping to get something out of Ottawa from this? Like, but again,
probably the latter.
But that video that you just showed, he's not getting anything, because he's getting a barge that's going to come from Korea that's going to get parked offshore, and that's going to somehow or other compress a bit of natural gas and sell it. Like, he's not getting much, EB. Like, nobody's getting anything. Nobody's getting anything. Yeah.
British Columbia doesn't care, because British Columbia just wants to be left alone to do their own thing. Whether it's allow the triads to run fentanyl things with the Mexican cartels, or just do just plain old money laundering through the casinos and through the housing market, and it's all about criminality. Like, this province is a crime province. It's unbelievable, and the more I learn about it, the more I find out about it, the more it just becomes apparent. And David Eby was famously bought off by the Chinese triads ages ago, and he's just kind of under their thumb. That really is, at the end of the day. I don't think he has anything to worry about winning any elections, because there's no election coming anytime soon. The Conservatives are definitely not pushing for one, because the Conservatives have imploded as a party. They entirely imploded as a party. They've kicked out the only people that really make any sense, in my estimate, were the people who are going to be forming 1BC. But it's still a tiny party. They're hoping to get maybe 5%, 10% of the electoral vote in the next election. That's about it. That's where they sit.
Isn't Rustad pulling some weird stunt too right now, trying to get some? Isn't he fighting? I think Rustad's claimed that has got a lawsuit going of some sort too, right? He's going to try and hang on to power or do something. Yeah, I know. Like, I mean, they're
trying to oust him, is what's happening. The caucus is trying their best to oust him, and he's doing everything to avoid it. And it's never a good look when they want you out, because he's made so many crucial errors. Like when he kicked out Brody,
Dallas Brody, and Tara, whatever her name is, yeah.
And then Lindsay Shepherd, and it's like, what? Like you're completely off base from conservatism and conservatives that you need to get out. And the entire base is saying this, and so they're imploding. Like if Rustad doesn't step down, then there is no conservative party in this province. It's unbelievable.
Wow. Yeah. What a mess we've created in this country in 10 years, right? Like 10, 15 years. And it's just okay. Well, I mean, let's stick on a positive note. If Elizabeth May can see that it's a mess, maybe others will see that it's a mess. I don't know. I some days I lose. Actually, some days I lose faith. Some days I get pretty pumped. I mean, did you see the story today? There was I tweeted about it. Others have tweeted about it. There's about now the fact that the budget was approved by the Conservatives last week kind of makes more sense to me now. Now I'm buying the narrative that nobody wanted to go to an election. And now I'm kind of seeing why. I mean, there's apparently 7.
They would lose. The Conservatives would lose. They would lose.
But then the Liberals were also thinking they would lose. So it's interesting. So at this point, both parties were thinking we're going to lose. I'm like, wow, that's interesting. Okay, so both parties are not, neither party's wanting to take a chance right now. It's interesting. Neither party's wanting to take a chance. So. Hey,
well, we can all celebrate because the one that we've all wanted to get out of there is just made her departure. She's taken off. She's out of there. Ding dong. The what's the word? What are the words?
The witch is gone. Yeah. Ding dong. The witch is gone. Yeah.
Oh, Mark Nixon putting this out says who is relieved Chrystia Freeland will be resigning from government and moving to England next year. Feel sorry for those English people. Holy cow. Yeah, it's like we just keep trading completely terrible politicians and bankers and whatnot.
Well, no, but I mean, look at how fat their wallet gets, right? Like she's already the special envoy to Ukraine. Now she's gonna go manage the Rhodes, not the Rhodes Scholarship, but the Rhodes Foundation, the Rhodes Foundation. Oh my God, like that's got.
Yeah, she's gonna be CEO.
Right? Yeah, CEO of the Rhodes Foundation, and she'll probably stay on as MP for at least another 3 months or whatever, and then she'll start collecting your MP pension. This week, the other stories we heard, Melanie Joly is being considered for ambassador to France. So, she'll go and fatten her pockets. Bill Blair is being considered for commissioner to England or something like that it's called. Instead of an ambassador to England, we have a high commissioner. Bill Blair is being considered high commissioner to England.
That's a long way from bumbling through as the police chief and beating up a bunch of citizens in Toronto during the G20 to getting to the becoming. Canada's not a real country.
There was somebody else who was being considered for. Somebody else was considered for an ambassadorship, and then the Liberals in Ontario are looking for their leadership race. So apparently, Karina Gould and somebody else are thinking of running for the Liberal leadership. So, anyways, there's it's like Lametti last week. They're ticks, man. They just fall off one part of the cow and then they hook on to another part and they keep on sucking, or leeches, or whatever you want to call them. I mean, they just get rich. Guilbeault is going to keep getting rich. They all keep getting rich, man. Yeah.
Freaking believable. Yeah. We're not a serious country.
No. Hey, I got a couple of stories still we never talked about. Okay. We never talked about Maduro.
Oh, right. So last Friday we were going to talk about Rudy.
Trump and stuff like that. So yeah.
So last week I had Rudy on Friday, filled the whole audience in on the whole Venezuela situation. It's really hard to tell what's going on. You don't really know who is really with who at this point. Now we know that Maria Corina Machado, she was given the Nobel Prize. Now they're waiting for this moment when she has to leave the country because she's in hiding in Venezuela, and she's going to have to go to wherever it is. Where do they give away the Nobel Prize? Somewhere in Europe. And
Stockholm.
Stockholm.
Yeah.
So she'll have to go to that. But there's now people are starting to wonder if she's actually in the country. Because if she doesn't depart from the country and then have to re-enter the country, then it kind of gives up that whole thing if that happened to be a thing.
Yeah.
Then on top of that, the guy who actually won the election is starting to look a bit like maybe just a false opposition, like a staged opposition sort of character. He's over in Spain now. He lives in Spain. And, the opposition had been the Maduro government had been using him as a piece of propaganda, saying like, oh yeah, wins an election and look at him now. And they're showing him eating nice food and all this other stuff. And they're using that on the people as propaganda. So it's like, it's a really muddy situation where nobody really knows who to trust and where it all is. And of course, Maduro is using all the money he possibly can to run propaganda schemes to keep himself in power.
Yeah, well,
and that's really what it is.
I mean, we played his clip last week where he's pleading with the U.S. government or with Trump, right? Like, please, Mr. Trump, peace or whatever.
No guar, please,
no
Mr.
guar.
Trump.
But then yesterday, I think it was yesterday, now he's taken on a more defiant stance, right? And he was telling Trump, like, if you invade us, we will win. We're undefeatable. Meanwhile, the Americans just announced that a quarter of their Atlantic fleet, I don't know how many boats that is, but I'm guessing it's a lot of boats. Like a quarter of the American Atlantic fleet is parked offshore Venezuela. Remember I was doing the joke with the binoculars last week. He was looking out and he saw one aircraft carrier. Now he's like, oh shit, there's 3. And probably a couple of submarines. So, boy.
It'll be a Falkland situation if it did come to a conflict. I mean, it would just be like, you can't reach us, we're hitting you.
I think it'd be surgical, right? That's the kind of ones where you want the Americans to just do it surgically. Just land right on the palace and don't hurt the average Venezuelan. They don't need any more grief. Just go after the leadership.
No, they don't need any more grief. And in fact, most people are hoping for regime change. Like this is the word I get on the ground is a lot of people are just hoping that someone will intervene. And the Venezuelan people, and this ties in to Canada, it ties into anyone who lives in a open society. Don't let your government take your guns away ever. This is a perfect example of why you don't let that happen. What are the Venezuelan people saying to America right now? They're saying, please, can you intervene? Because we can't do it ourselves. We're unarmed. We were disarmed. And here's where it gets muddy, because Rudy told me this. Maria Corina Machado, who just is to be accepting this award, when she was in government, she was one of the head people pushing for gun control to have people disarmed. So has she looked back on it and said that was a mistake? I don't know. It would be nice to see that kind of thing, but I was unaware that she was actually she was spearheading Operation Spearhead. She was spearheading this initiative to disarm the Venezuelan population when before it went full commie. It's a bad look. It's a bad look. So yeah, hang on to your guns, people. And when the government comes from
on that topic, today the 25th, today in November, Bill 42 in Saskatchewan was introduced. The Saskatchewan government already has a firearms bill that was implemented a couple years ago to try and make it harder for Ottawa to confiscate guns in Saskatchewan. And today, Scott Moe added more pieces to that bill, so introduced Bill 42. So Saskatchewan's going to make it almost impossible for Ottawa to confiscate guns, and then Danielle's supposed to follow up with her version of that. I'm sure it'll be brought up at the AGM. Hey, we're running out of time. Wanted to talk we'll talk about Canada Post during the comments portion, because I wanted to show you something silly going on at Canada Post. But just wanted to talk about one weird thing happening in Alberta right now. So far this week, private citizens have filed papers to start 13 petitions to recall sitting MLAs in Alberta. 13 MLAs. So we got 2 petitions circulating for referendums, and now we got 13 petitions circulating to recall MLAs. The NDP in this province were really pissed off at Danielle's forcing teachers back to work and some of the child protection legislation that came out in because Danielle used a notwithstanding clause twice now in the last month, so they're responding by trying to recall a bunch of UCPs. I wouldn't be surprised if one easy way for Danielle to cancel all these petitions they got 90 days to collect signatures. I think Danielle should just call a snap election in January and throw a wrench in all these petitions and send us to the polls. But yeah.
Yeah, it would really thwart that effort.
Yeah.
But then wouldn't it be, I don't know, do you think that the UCP would win if there was a snap election?
I think so. I mean, the Danielle did not want the teacher strike. Okay, she wasn't going for that fight. She wanted a resolution to it, which is why when the teachers came out, she made that pretty nice offer. Here's a 12% raise over 4 years. And then the teachers took the fight to her, and she took it back to them. And the teachers were thinking that they'd get massive support from the public, and they didn't. The public is all, generally speaking, the public was like, no, we could see what the teachers did. You got offered 12%. We could see how the unions tried to interfere. And now we're seeing these petitions and these recalls. And you guys are just, we got bigger problems to worry about. And so I think Danielle won that battle in the last month. And I think if she called a snap election right now, she'd come out victorious on that one. But
do you think they would win more seats?
Yes.
Oh,
but I'm
maybe
not a
that's the
strategist.
strategy.
Yeah. Actually, we'll talk about that in the comment section too, right? Pierre got a new strategist. I'm not a strategist, but Pierre got a new strategist. So Jimmy Byrne is gone.
Maybe they'll get some good advice for once. I don't know.
Well, the guy's strategist that he got's got an unfortunate last name. The new strategist, his last name is Outhouse. Never heard of that, but the guy's like Jerry Outhouse or whatever. Yeah, but he helped Nova Scotia turn around and win a conservative government provincially, and then he helped Nunavut. So apparently he's going to go try and help Pierre. Now, my friend David,
you're talking about Tim Houston's guy.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
very conservative.
Yeah, we'll see.
Don't go for a hike.
Yeah.
All right, Marty, where can people find you?
Find me on X, Marty Up North. Come. I'm out of. Oh, by the way, I'm out of my shadow ban from last week. Man, was that ever dramatic? Like once I got out of the shadow ban, it was crazy. It's like all of a sudden it was flooded. All of a sudden I was seeing people again. Yeah, the lights turned on. That's exactly how it works. And the way to get out of the shadow ban is to log out of X for 2 days and just not tweet. So yeah, come help me. Yeah, it worked.
Good to know.
Yeah. Like shadow banning is, maybe it'd actually be cool to bring an expert on that, somebody. But I learned a lot about shadow banning and how to break the shadow ban. And so come see me on X and help me regain my momentum.